Hello and welcome. I'm your host, Elizibar. Woo! Yeah, Voidwalker. Number 2. Uh, I could have got one of the comic books I just got this past week and did a review of it, but you know what? I put off reading Voidwalker for long enough. I can't resist it anymore. Check this out. Like right here on the cover, you know you are in for some serious monster killing action. This book continues to kind of mix stuff from the Guyver with stuff from Spawn. With actually, I really feel like there's a whole lot of Doom influence. Particularly when I say that, I mean like the 2016 Doom. Like I feel like that is infusing this. This book just is like rip and tear when it wants to be. Sometimes it decides to be like, hey, you need to actually understand this character's backstory. Here's a funny, yeah, okay, maybe not funny. Here's a mildly amusing story when I was trying to read this dang book. So, I picked the book up, and I'm like, all right, let's open this up. And I'm like, boom. And then it took me a second to realize this wasn't, in fact, the first page. Although, that is a heck of a first page to open up to. Because, look, man, this dude's holding an eyeball right there. Pay tribute. Bleed for the void. When the veil falls, only pain will save us. So now we're immediately, in Event Horizon territory, where we're going, we won't need eyes to see and all that. It's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. This book is kind of gory, and it's great. There's a whole lot of backstory stuff going on. We learned about this guy. Oh, see, there's the guy. There's his mob boss that took care of him. There he is as a baby. There's the dude's dad. All that stuff is happening here. We get a ton of this backstory stuff in the middle. It's like a backstory sandwich. Over here, we've got some drama and action happening. Over here, we got some drama and action happening. And in the middle, we're just like, we need some good filling for this sandwich. And so we just put this backstory in there. Boom. Yeah. That's how I feel about this book. It makes me want to go, boom. A lot of fun reading this book. Absolutely a lot of fun. Oh, gosh. Yeah, I mean, look, man, we're here in the other world. All the monsters are like, we're going to get out. We're going to get out. Let's climb the pillar up to, the rift, the void. And so they're jockeying for strength. On your ragged feet, climb, brothers. The rift is but a seam, but the breach remains intact. Squish. Somewhere there's no infighting. So let's get out of here. In the comments that they have. Oh, look at that dude. You tried to kill me. Yeah. Yeah, the mob boss. I tried. I really did. Look at yourself, Parker. Shooting you was a last resort. You may not believe me, but dang it. You just weren't supposed to be here. I didn't know what else to do. He lies. He wants the crystals for himself, says the little monster that's inside this dude. You might remember issue 1, he bonded with a terrifying creature, and it's still inside of him today. I'm getting a little over dramatic, aren't I? I should just stick to the facts. The art's good. The coloring is maybe a little more subdued than it needs to be. I think this color could be a whole lot more outrageous, and I think it would probably be a little bit more improved. I mean, there's some really dramatic looking stuff here. Those splashes of red for the blood are fantastic. But wouldn't this book, I think this book would really be improved if the coloring was way more popping off the page. Kind of searing into your eyes the way Eden looked. Or the way, especially the way Feast or Famine looked. That book's colors were out of this world. Absolutely out of this world. Now, I'm not trying to take away anything from the coloring in this book because it's really good. It sets mood, it sets tone, it's dramatic. It gets the point across. It draws your eye where your eye wants to be. Because if you're looking at this page, your eye wants to go here. You've got this yellow with this dark shadow. It wants to go over here because there's this glow. It wants to trail down this way. The colors are naturally leading my eye around. So we've got this big backdrop back here. But the eyes just kind of ignore their way across it because you don't really need to see that because that's not where your eye is going. That's not where the color is telling you to look. Kind of like over here. The coloring is okay, we got this thing. There's some dramatic coloring there. Then you got this darkness around here, so your eye kind of goes this way, and it follows the yellow. And then, you're reading a book in Western format, so it means you go left to right. So you're like this, and suddenly, your eyes get this yellow right here, and they go, whoa! Then you get like this, what? And then there's just red for danger. Danger! The dialogue, maybe there's a little too much of it. The backstory is good. Like, I'm not trying to say that that wasn't good, but honestly, I think we could have done without it. Like, maybe it becomes really important in the next issue. Although it is a little bit important to understand the events that are happening later in this issue, because there's some infighting among the monsters towards the end of the book, and it kind of explains some of what's going on that front. When one horrifying monster is calling another the heretic, something has gone strange in their existence. Something's absolutely gone strange. Fresh meat. Kind of like Venom, the monster just wants to eat everybody. I'm hungry. Let's eat, Pete. And when I say Pete, I don't mean Peter Simeti, publisher of Alternative Comics. Voidwalker is great stuff. There's lots of crazy horror, lots of crazy action. It's very much the Guyver, very much the Spawn. Seeing all the like this stuff over here, like I'm definitely feeling like some Doom 2016 stuff going on with the way people are getting like punched apart and ripped and shredded. Rip and tear, man, rip and tear. So go check out Voidwalker if you haven't already. You might be able to still get this issue. I don't think it's out of print yet. I haven't heard Peter Smith be like, oh, Voidwalker 2 is out of print at the distributor. And even if it is, you should still call Peter and be like, yo, man, can I get that book? Otherwise, it's probably coming out as an alternate giant later in the year or something, in which case you should check it out then. Cool. You're getting a bonus review, though, because I just got done reading this book earlier today. What is this, 2018 anthology. It was a horror book. Let me see. Yep, 2018. This is going to be a real quick review because I find it very difficult to review anthologies. And this one has the problem. Maybe problem's a little too strong of a word. This one has the difficulty that it's horror. And I find it very difficult to tell short-form horror stories. The first one, Angel of Death, it's actually more intriguing than it is scary. There's some stuff happening. There's a terrifying car crash, da-da-da-da-da. And at the end, we find out that this dude that's standing around he causes people to die. And there's like a bureaucracy and stuff. It's actually intriguing. It would be a really interesting story or kind of story to have in a longer format than that. That's my opinion anyway. Man, I struggled with trying to get this thing squared up for a long time, and it looks like it slipped in between when I got done with that and when I started recording. That sucks. This is an interesting story. Again, this one kind of suggests that it wants to be a full story because you've got just some absolutely crazy looking stuff happening in it. It was a fun time. This is maybe the best story because you got these little monsters that think they're going to eat this girl, and then she turns the tables on them. It was fun. Some of these other stories, I'm just going to kind of gloss over them because I'm not doing a full review of this. This one is super creepy. Great story. Feels very Junji Ito, actually. I mean that as high praise, by the way. Blinders was kind of interesting. It's like this dude's living in a world full of Cenobites or something. And I'm not really going to go further into it. I think I just spoiled the entire story. This one, I'm sorry to say, Stephanie Cannon did not do anything for me. It's just kind of like people are getting eaten. Now, granted, it looks pretty good, but I think the story needed to be spread out more. It needed to be spread out a little more. Then you can have more of like a mystery about it and build up that suspense. This one. I'm not going to show any of this, but that story is dark. It's fantastic and dark. Yeah. And I think I did a review of The Chair a long time ago. You can just go check that out. The Chair is... Whew. Okay, that last book was about child abuse. And I'm about to say this. The Chair is a darker story than that. This is kind of an interesting story because of the twist. It's also short. All these little short stories are interesting, and half of them make me want more. This one's kind of like The Hills Have Eyes type deal, and again, it was too short. Oh, this is actually perfectly linked. It's got the perfect length to it. It's about this lady and her cat on Instagram. Well, I'm sorry, Pickeroid. Instagram. And she takes pictures of her and the cat, and they get likes and stuff. And she gets pregnant, has a baby. The cat gets jealous. I'm going to leave the rest to your imagination. This one has two twists in it, and they're both pretty good. They're both pretty good. So I am not going to drop any complaints. I think it could have done with just a little more length. You know, this feels like a 10-minute segment, and this deserves like being a half-hour television program. If that makes any sense, like this is just like between two commercial breaks, like we're doing a 30-minute anthology series and telling a bunch of really fast movie stories or motion pictures. This needed a little more room to breathe. I need a little more room to breathe, and I don't mean at the beginning. I mean in the middle, when the kidnappers are doing kidnappery stuff. Otherwise, it's pretty great, pretty great. And the art's just good too. The final page is kind of haunting. This one here, Me and Myself, is absolutely just one of the most depressing things I've read. It's not really scary. It just grinds you down. It's a good thing it's not. That's one I'm glad is not any longer than it already is. The Priest. No, it's not what you're thinking. Get your minds out of the gutter. Cthulhu. Have you seen what was that movie? Sam Neill, 90s, In the Mouth of Madness or something like. Have you seen that? It's like the world after, at the end of that movie, and you've got a priest, and he's rescuing children from the world. That's the setup. Huh. This one's actually more funny than anything. So you got like a pizza guy delivered to a vampire's house. I'm sure you can imagine how that goes. The next story is Red Koi. Pretty sure I got reviews of the actual long form of that, but it's dope looking. You should check out that series. Hopefully they release that as both parts in like a two-part like giant, or combine them into a giant with some bonus material or something, so you can just buy Red Koi all at once. This is a weird story, and I don't think I really got it. It's basically like the Cthulhu corruption has infected the world type deal, and you're experiencing it through the eyes of this guy who's like a safety inspector or something. The art has a very unique style. It feels like it belongs in a children's book or something, except it's like a children's book by Tim Burton. And so if you take that and you kind of think about it, you probably understand what the story's like. It's one of the longer stories in the book too. It's pretty good. Then we got this story about this dude who I don't think I can really describe this without spoiling it. So I'm just gonna open this up and show you the like cool art, and then I'm just gonna let you look at that for a minute. It's really nice art, ain't it? He looks super heroic. I don't mean like a superhero. I mean he looks like he's heroic, superbly, superiorly, superlatively. I'm not quite sure why it's called Suicide Woods, honestly. It could have stood to be longer. This story is really dark, and we're not really going into it. You might be able to just guess what it is by that. This one's a more cartoony style. Two like teenagers or college students going out into the woods. She thinks she saw a monster. She doesn't believe her. And then there's, of course, it's a horror story, so there has to be with the twist at the end. Oh, this is super dark. This guy's killed a woman. Like that's the setup. He's sitting here drinking wine, thinking about it. And I don't know if this is a horror story so much. I guess it is, because Silence of the Lambs is a horror movie, so I guess this is too, or a horror story. But man, that is dark. It's also one of the better stories in the book. This didn't do a whole lot for me. I don't know that it's really a horror story. I mean, it has a monster, and the guy has to deal with the monster and then escape. But yeah, that was the whole book. Kind of hit the highlights. It was like a book report, I guess, rather than a real review. Overall, it was a pretty good anthology. It's not as good as some of the other ones. Let me flip to the back. The sci-fi one, pretty dope. The superhero one, I don't think I did a review of that. It actually kind of let me down a little bit once I got hold of it. And the crime one was pretty good. I think I would rate this one somewhere like between the super powered one and the crime one. It was good. There's a lot of great stories in here, a lot of interesting stories. If you can still get hold of these, and I don't even know if these are still available, give it a try. In the meantime, I'm going to bid you all adieu, as they say. You all have a great day, great night, great whatever you got going on. I sure hope to see you again next time. Till then, bye bye. Yeah, bonus review.